Welcome to the deep dive. We've got this really interesting stack of material you sent over. It's less typical dating advice, more like a playbook, wouldn't you say? For kind of radical self-mastery in modern dating.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you boil all these pages down, there's this one core principle they just keep hammering home. The person who actually acts, who executes, always wins out over the one stuck in their head overthinking everything.
Right. It's not about changing who you are fundamentally, but controlling your behavior, your mindset. So our job today is to pull out that actionable formula they're presenting, the framework they've built to, well, kill hesitation and get past that feeling of scarcity.
Exactly. And they are very prescriptive about it. It's all built on these three sort of non-negotiable pillars. First, strategy, that's your roadmap. Then abundance, which is positioned as the cure for neediness. And finally, boldness, which is just about decisive action.
And this is aimed right at you, the listener, if you're looking for that clear structure, because these sources, they don't mince words. They basically say modern dating punishes hesitation and hugely rewards conviction. If you're not leading, you're falling behind. Simple as that.
So let's get into mapping out that path to leadership then.
Okay, section 1, the foundation. If we're talking strategy, the sources demand you run dating like a business. Structured, intentional, not just, chaotic or purely emotional. They actually say dating without a strategy is self-sabotage.
It's definitely a disciplined approach. And the very first step, they insist, is defining your intent before you even think about interacting with someone. You have to ask yourself, okay, is this about my own growth? Am I just looking for experience here? Or am I aiming for something bigger, what they call a legacy, finding that high-value, long-term partner?
But why is pinning that down so vital? Can't you just, see where things go, feel it out?
According to this material, no. Because structure is fundamental to respect, both self-respect and earning hers. Without a defined goal, you're just drifting. You need that map, as they say, if you want mastery. They even suggest structuring your life into seasons. You have focus seasons, purely for building your mission, your skills, and then distinct dating seasons for actually engaging. Anything else, it's a distraction. Cut it out.
That leads directly to this core mindset idea, purpose first, pleasure second. And this prioritization, it supposedly creates something fascinating they call the gravity principle.
Gravity, yeah. It's positioned as this natural law of attraction. It happens when you prioritize correctly. When your mission, your purpose, comes before the chase. You stop performing for approval.
Right.
You actually generate this gravity that pulls women towards you. Because, as they put it quite bluntly, discipline is the foundation of attraction.
So the man focused on his own climb, his own mission. He becomes the center of gravity. Interesting. But how does that actually work day to day? They mention women testing this focus, right?
Oh, yeah. They see testing as inevitable, even necessary. Women will apparently probe, try to see if you'll drop your mission, lower your standards just to please them or keep them around. And the advice is crystal clear. Don't break focus. Holding onto your standards, even under pressure, is what proves you're committed to something bigger than just chasing validation. That focus, that's the magnet.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. Foundation set with strategy. Now we need to tackle what they see as the most destructive force out there, the disease of scarcity. This, they claim, flat out destroys men.
Scarcity, yeah.
Yeah.
In this context, it's about fixating on one person, right? Letting that one potential relationship dominate your thoughts, your energy, your whole life, essentially. When that happens, the man loses his frame. And frame, just to clarify for you listening, that's your internal reality, your priorities, your values, your goals. Losing your frame means that her perception of you, or just whether she's available or not, becomes more important than your own self-worth.
And if you lose that internal reality, you go from being the prize, as they put it, to being a beggar. And the only practical cure they offer is creating real-world evidence of abundance.
Exactly. The sources explicitly recommend actively dating multiple women at the same time. The numbers they suggest, 3, 4, maybe even 6, it's not really about maximizing fun. It's a tool. It's designed to retrain your own brain, to literally show your subconscious mind that options exist. They frame it as liberation, not deception.
Okay, here's where it gets maybe a bit controversial, the efficiency aspect. They actually recommend stacking dates. Short, sharp, efficient dates, almost like you double book business meetings. They even suggest like an hour max per date.
That efficiency is crucial in their model. It does 2 things immediately. 1, it keeps you socially active, kind of warmed up. Two, and this is the big one, it starves out that disease of neediness.
It sounds incredibly efficient almost, mechanical. Doesn't stacking dates like that risk burnout or just making the guy seem cold? How do they balance that efficiency with, genuine connection?
Well, they'd argue the mechanical aspect, or rather the detachment, is kind of the point. It's the weapon against neediness. They insist that scarcity of your time is what creates value. By keeping dates short, you're forced to lead efficiently, make the interaction count, and ideally, leave her wanting more. The mindset shift is huge. You are the one evaluating. The woman is, in their words, auditioning for your energy, not the other way around.
Wow, that's a total flip of the usual dynamic. And this is supposedly amplified when women see what they call the pre-selection factor, basically. Knowing other women want your time makes a new woman feel like she needs to compete for it.
Yes, and that detachment gets tested all the time. So when a woman asks about other women or probes your level of commitment, the sources advise this assertive but very detached response. The exact phrase they suggest is something like, if this doesn't work for you, that's okay. That ability to show you're willing, ready to walk away, that's positioned as the ultimate power move. They're very clear. The man who can walk away is the man who rarely has to.
All right, let's get to the third pillar then. The power of boldness. Action over anxiety. This is where they say most guys stumble in that tiny moment between thinking about doing something and actually doing it.
Absolutely. They state it pretty unequivocally. Overthinking kills attraction faster than ugliness. That hesitation. It just screams weakness, fear, low confidence. Action, they say, beats intellect every single time in these critical moments.
And they make a pretty harsh call on hesitation, saying the friend zone is just a man's punishment for hesitation. Ouch.
Yeah, it's harsh, but they see it not as like a moral judgment, but a direct behavioral consequence. If you don't create that necessary tension, that forward momentum, you naturally default into a non-sexual friendly role. So therefore, every date has to be, in their view, a one-way street towards building tension, physical and emotional.
So escalation isn't optional, it's mandatory to avoid ending up in that friend zone default. Let's look at the example they give for decisive escalation. It's bold.
It's definitely designed to be polarizing, right? Because it forces the issue and tests her reaction and your conviction instantly. The sources suggest saying something very direct like, you look too damn good not to kiss right now. It's not meant to be charming in a smooth way. It's about leading. It cuts through ambiguity, asserts intent, and that is supposedly a massive attraction trigger.
Okay, but what if she pushes back? Which seems pretty likely sometimes. Retreating feels like the natural response for a lot of guys.
And retreating, in this framework, is fatal to attraction. Confidence, as they define it, isn't about never facing resistance. It's about persistence combined with restraint. Stay calm, they advise. Let the tension rebuild naturally. Don't force it immediately, and then try again when the moment feels right. The pushback isn't seen as outright rejection, but more as a test of your inner resolve.
Let's shift to the physical side of this, because the sources connect strategy straight to physicality. They say, touch is truth, that strong men communicate through their presence, their certainty, not just their words.
Absolutely. The aim is to build physical comfort confidently, what they term calibrated dominance. And this isn't about being aggressive. It's shown in small, deliberate actions. A firm guiding hand on her lower back as you move through a crowd, or naturally guiding her through a doorway first. And crucially, they stress changing the seating dynamic. Don't sit across from her like it's an interview. Always sit beside her, or maybe at a slight angle. It instantly changes the energy and makes it feel more like a partnership, an alliance.
So if we pull all this together, what does it mean for you, the listener? Synthesizing these pillars, strategy, abundance, boldness, it sounds like they're basically framing dating as training.
That's the core metaphor, yes. Confidence isn't something you get from reading articles or thinking about it. It's forged through repetition, like lifting weights in the gym. Every time you approach, every interaction, successful or not, is a rep. It trains your nervous system to handle anxiety and to act despite it. Momentum, they argue, is far more important than getting it perfect every time.
Okay, now for the quick wins, or rather the quick losses to avoid. Section 4, attraction killers. The behaviors you absolutely have to stop immediately because they just kill momentum and attraction dead.
Right, and a lot of it comes down to destroying the mystery through bad time management and poor communication. We already touched on keeping dates short, about an hour, long, drawn-out conversations. They kill that vital mystery and, almost inevitably, land you squarely in the friend zone.
And the communication side. Texting. The sources are ruthless here. We've all seen them, maybe even written them, those massive text novels, pouring out feelings and overanalyzing everything. That just screams desperation, doesn't it?
A huge red flag for desperation, yeah. It signals you have way too much time and emotional energy invested way too soon. And speaking of texting desperation, they specifically call out certain killer replies. You have got to avoid those one-word answers like K or cool or just lol. They just stop the conversation cold. Makes you seem detached, but in a lazy, socially unaware way, not in the intended focused leader kind of way.
Then there are the mindset traps. Neediness. Clinginess is called out as the biggest turnoff, especially, they note, among older men. That behavior just shouts, I have no other options.
That neediness is toxic because it completely reverses the prize dynamic we talked about. Constantly seeking validation, always checking in, basically asking her permission to find you attractive. It just obliterates any intrigue. The core advice is always operate from the assumption that you are the prize, that your time and attention are the valuable commodities here.
And finally, the topic that should apparently never, ever come up on a first date. Or maybe even a second.
Talking about exes,
Yeah.
to use their vivid analogy, it's like farting in an elevator. It just instantly kills the mood, makes you look damaged, bitter, or just clearly not over your past. And related to that, if a relationship does end, begging her to stay, pleading, that kills attraction completely. The only move, according to them, is to walk away with total dignity.
Right. So after this pretty intense deep dive into strategic behavior, mindset control, let's try to synthesize the ultimate takeaway for the listener. What's the bottom line?
I think the ultimate lesson here isn't really about learning tricks to manipulate women. It's about achieving absolute control of yourself, your emotions, your actions, your focus. A woman, according to these sources, finds herself drawn to the man who leads confidently, without needing her validation, and who treats dating itself like focused, efficient training.
So the final formula they lay out is be strategic, be abundant, be decisive. The goal isn't the frantic chase for women, but the steady work of building gravity. And gravity, as we said, doesn't chase, it attracts.
Which leaves us with maybe one final provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider. Where exactly does your anxiety live? If these sources are right, it lives in that tiny space between the thought, the decision to act, and the physical movement itself. They contrast the smart guy who hesitates, calculates, and often loses with the so-called dumb guy who just acts and adjusts as he goes and often wins. Maybe ask yourself, how much momentum are you sacrificing right now to analysis?
Stop analyzing, stop hesitating, act, adjust, repeat. The man who moves wins.